Robb at Robb's Homemade Life has been doing a couple of videos about can openers, and this is a VR to him, and just I guess having a fun discussion about a few things about can openers, and but anyway, he was saying that he liked a certain kind of can opener, and today he actually made a video about hacking his $3 manual can opener. Um, but it's a it's a real subject in that if you're an older person or if it's a emergency situation, different can openers will provide different functions, or different can openers function differently, and so make sure you have the can opener that is right for you and is right for the situation. So let's take a look at some can openers. Now I've got this electric can opener, which are far and few between nowadays, I think, but they are still around. I don't have a can opener that cuts like a manual can opener that cuts like this can opener, so this will be a stand-in for the manual one. But I think other commenters said, yeah, I don't like the ones that cut around the rim instead of into the can, which I have here, and I think Robb said his didn't last very long. This is a Pampered Chef one that we bought from a friend, and it seems to work really well. I think we've had this, of course it's made there. We've had this one for about at least 10 years, and it's held up like a champ, and we've been using it regularly, so I'll show you how that works in a little bit. Of course, you have these kinds of cans where once you don't need a can opener, but once you open them, you can't reseal the other ones, but some of them you can cut partially and then lift the lid up and then kind of close it back down to keep it mostly sealed or mostly covered. I guess you can do these too. You can peel them partially up and then push the flap back down without taking the flap all the way off. But then there are the multi-tool can openers that have a can opener on them, or multi-tools with can openers in them. A little different design there, but pretty much the same shape. They've got a pointy tip that can pierce into the can, and this little hook grabs to the side of the can like that, so you can twist and puncture. I don't have all types of manual can openers, but they work pretty much the same. And of course, everyone should get one of these or one like it. This is an official U.S. issued P38, and story, it was told by a friend of mine when he joined the Army, where he I think like the third or fourth day of boot camp, the drill sergeant said, "Everybody get dressed. We're gonna go get your P38. Go issue you your P38s." He never heard of a P38, and he thought it was like some kind of rifle or something. So he's all excited. So the whole platoon got dressed and got in formation. They marched over to some building, and they were walking through, and the guy handed him one of these, and he says, "What's this?" He says, "It's your P38. Don't lose it, because if you lose it, you're not going to be able to eat." So whether that's true or not makes for a good story, right? So let's take a look at how some of these work, and hope you enjoy the show. So the automatic can opener here, it's electric, so that's the downside and the power outage. Unless you had a generator, right, this wouldn't work for you. But everyday use, again, if you have hand functionality issues, this would be good. It flips up like that. You put the can in and you flip it down, and then when you push it a little bit more, of course, if you need to clean the little cutter there's a little release button. You push that and it comes out, and then you can clean the cutter. So let's open up a can, see how it does. See, and this does take a little bit of, I don't know, manipulation. So you got to put it in there, and you got to feel it catch this sprocket here, because that's what turns the can. And what's nice is it's got a little magnet here that holds on to the lid. So here we go. And I feel silly making a video about a electric can opener, but they're not very I don't know, common nowadays, I guess. Yep, and it stops when it's done. So you got to hold on to it and lift it, and there you have it. Now, you know, I guess you can put the lid back in if you wanted to, you know, try to cover it a little bit. But downside, yeah, it leaves sharp edges. Inside, not so much. Inside's pretty smooth. Well, it does catch, but it does a decent job. And again, you know, if you have mobility issues with your hands, it's a good way to go. All right, next, let's take a look at the one that cuts around the edge. And what it does, it actually grabs in here and and pops, because these are I guess swedged, what they call swedged. The lids are squeezed on. And so that's how they seal them. So what it does, it just cuts this rim. So here's what it looks like afterwards. Just cuts that rim right there, and then the lid comes off. But like I said, I've had this for a while. So again, you have to get it in between this sprocket and this big wheel there, like that. Right? And it goes like this instead of the traditional can openers. You know, people would put them like that. Now, the traditional can openers, you could do it like this, but it leaves a sharp rim. But the traditional ones usually go like this, just in this orientation. But it's and then you just squeeze it. So this has a nice big handle. So this might work good for people with mobility issues. And if you get a good brand, a good quote-unquote quality brand, they'll last you a while. And like I said, this is I've had this a while. So you just twist it. It's got a nice big lever that you can twist, and then you can feel when it's gone all the way around when it clicks. So that means it took it cut the last little piece there. And then what some people may or may not know, there's little jaws right there. That what you do is, let's see, you can lift the lid up. You know, I guess you can pull it up by hand, but sometimes it could still be a little tight, so you use these little jaws there, and lifts out the can just like that, like so. Breaking into this video with this video at your traditional can openers, you know, the ones that open like this or the automatic one. The lids have a sharp edge, which I mentioned, and when you go to recover the can, you know, there's gaps in it. But with this type that cuts it around the edge like that, you can actually recover the can, and it's pretty well sealed, right? And the lid also doesn't have a sharp edge, and the can doesn't have a sharp edge. So that's the double advantage of these types of can opener cutters. Alright, back to your regularly scheduled video. And again, what's nice about these, it doesn't leave a sharp edge. See, I can rub my finger, and it won't cut. So I like this. This is probably what we use more often. Alright, next I'll use my Leatherman first, and then I'll use my Gerber, just to show you an example of how they're used, and then we'll go to the P38. If you have one, you probably already know how to use one. You'll catch that on the outside of the can, and then this punctures the outside of the rim, and this punctures the inside of the rim, like so. And then you just twist up like that, and then this you slide backwards and puncture again, right, until you get all the way around. If you look, the cutter is starts from the front and goes to the back, and this one, the cutter starts from the back and goes to the front, so this actually goes in that direction. Yeah, it does. So I guess for these, whichever the direction the puncture or the cutting edge is in relation to the puncture's point, that's the direction you go. So this one you go that direction, and this one you would go this direction. And of course, the P38, learning what we learned from the other ones, you're going to go backwards. So you puncture it, and then you're going to scoot back, puncture it, scoot back. And I just have this on here so I don't lose it, but I guess you can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your emergency bag or whatever. So this grabs onto the outside of the rim, and you pull back. And this would be one of those ones that where you have a mobility issue, you know, your fingers don't work very well, but I guess you can use a pair of pliers or something to grab it. So let me do it by hand first, and then I'll try the pliers. So yeah, I mean, once you get the hang of it, it moves pretty fast. So now let's try the pliers. Right? You could do it. You probably need a different pair of pliers than like a needle nose. But these were designed, obviously, to be used by hand. So let me finish up this can here. I'm going to show you, it moves pretty quick. It does take a little bit of strength in the hand to do it, but yep, just open your can like that. This is your traditional can where you see, you know, people use them to put worms and stuff for when they go fishing, and what they do is they just push the lid down to close it, and then when they want to get into it, you know, that's your traditional or can icon is with the manually cut lid flipped up like that. But anyway, those are different types of can openers. Again, I highly recommend having one of these in your emergency kit if you're going to have canned foods. You know, if you have emergency food that already has a tab, then you probably don't need one. But again, if that tab breaks, well, you could still get into it, but you're going to be smashing the hell out of the can. But yeah, go get one of these. I think Walmart has them in the camping section. They don't look exactly like this size, but they do make similar design ones. So yep, can openers, and especially the P38 deserves some cowbell. P38 bump.